All right, disciples, welcome back. Today we're working on something that every survivor needs. A mob spawner. A system designed to do one thing: trap enemies and destroy them. See, mobs in Minecraft are predictable. Zombies, skeletons, creepers. They follow simple rules. They spawn, they wander, they attack. And if you know what you're doing, you can control them. You can set up a structure that makes them fall right into your hands. And once they're in the trap, they're powerless. That got me thinking, what if it wasn't just zombies? What if, in real life, there was something working behind the scenes, setting traps for us? Not to kill our Minecraft characters, but to kill our faith, our purpose, our very souls. You ever feel like things in your life just keep leading you away from God? Like every time you try to focus on what really matters, something pulls you back. It's subtle, like a perfectly placed pressure plate. It makes you think it's all just coincidence. But what if I told you there's an enemy out there? An enemy that doesn't charge in swinging a sword, but waits, watches, whispers. One that doesn't want to be seen, because the moment you recognize him, he loses power. This enemy is patient. He's been at this since the beginning of time. And no, I'm not talking about creepers or endermen. I'm talking about something far older, far smarter, and far more dangerous. And here's the crazy part. Today we're going to talk to him. That's right. Today we have a guest. And not just any guest, the architect of every trap, the one behind every whisper of doubt, the one who has spent lifetimes perfecting the art of leading people away from the truth. But before we begin, you need to know one thing. He can't lie. Yeah, you heard me. He is the master of deception, the greatest manipulator, the father of lies, but he cannot lie to you directly. See, deception isn't always about false words. Sometimes it's about twisting the truth, hiding it just enough, baiting you into thinking you're making your own choices, while he guides you exactly where he wants you. And that's what makes him dangerous. He's not going to show up with horns and a pitchfork. No, he's going to come across as rational, charismatic, even helpful. But don't be fooled. Every word, every idea, every argument is designed to do one thing: separate you from God. So before we go any further, I need you to prepare yourself. This is not just another conversation. This is a confrontation. Keep your wits about you and remember, he is not God.
I must say, I appreciate the invitation.
Of course, I figured if you spend all your time working in the dark, why not step into the light for a little friendly chat?
Friendly. I like that. You see, most people assume they have to fight me, to resist me, to cast me away. But really, most of them don't even realize when I'm already sitting right next to them.
Right, I imagine you prefer it that way.
Well, of course. If they don't see me, they don't question me. If they don't question me, they don't resist me. And if they don't resist me, well, then I win before they even know the game has started.
So, tell me, how do you usually introduce yourself? You know, when you're working?
An excellent question. You see, people expect me to show up in some grand, terrifying way. Horns, fire, booming voice. How ridiculous. No. That would be far too easy to resist. Instead, I come in ways that feel comfortable. I come as a passing thought, a helpful suggestion, a gentle whisper that says, "It's fine, no big deal." I'm not the one who forces your hand, I simply guide it. You do the rest.
So you don't control people, you just nudge them?
Exactly. Free will is such a beautiful thing. It allows people to choose their own downfall while believing they're in complete control. I never need to drag anyone into darkness, when I can just make the darkness feel inviting.
And what do you gain from this? Why spend your time making people fall?
Oh, come now. You already know the answer. Every time someone turns away from him, every time they choose me, even for a moment, it's a victory. Not because I care for them, but because I know how much he does. You see, I don't just take souls, I take them from him. And that is what makes it worth everything.
Interesting, so it's not about them, it's about hurting God.
Exactly.
You sound so reasonable, logical even. It's easy to see how someone might listen to you without even realizing it.
Ah, flattery. Now you're speaking my language. You see, people assume I come as chaos, but true deception is subtle. It's reasonable. If I were obvious, my job would be much harder, wouldn't it?
So if you had one goal, just one thing you wanted to accomplish, what would it be?
Simple. I want them to forget him. To be so caught up in their own desires, distractions, and doubts that they don't even bother looking for him anymore. Because if they never seek, they never find. And if they never find, well, then they're already mine.
Fascinating. Well, I appreciate your honesty. But before we continue, let's talk about what happens when someone sees through you.
Oh, hold on now. I have a question for you.
Oh? I thought I was the one asking the questions.
Come now, let's not play games. You walked into this prepared to fight me, didn't you? You set this up like a trap. A conversation where you thought you'd let me talk just enough to expose myself. A clever approach. But here's what you didn't expect. I see you, the real you. Not the words you choose, not the bravado you put on for your audience. You, the moments of doubt you don't talk about, the battles in your head no one else sees. You hold your faith tightly, but do you ever wonder, what if it slips? You carry things, don't you? The weight of proving yourself, the responsibility of leading others, of staying strong when some days you barely have the energy to stand. You fight so hard to be the one asking the questions because you're terrified of what might happen if you had to answer them. See, I don't need to lie. I don't even need to fight. I just need to see you clearly. And if I can see you, I can press exactly where it hurts.
You think that's impressive? Seeing through me?
Impressive? Number, it's natural. Humans are predictable. Your emotions, your fears, they follow patterns. I don't even have to influence you. You are already wired to wrestle with the weight of existence. I just make sure you feel it a little deeper.
All right, you're good. I'll admit it. But here's the difference between you and me. You see my weaknesses, but he sees them too. And he doesn't use them against me. He holds me through them.
Ah, there it is. That infuriating faith of yours. The thing I can never fully break, no matter how much doubt I plant. You feel weak, yet you cling to him anyway.
Exactly. You see, you're right about something. I carry things. I struggle. I fall short. I don't have to win this fight. I don't have to outthink you. I don't have to prove anything, because I already belong to him. And the moment I stop relying on myself and start relying on him, you lose your grip. And you're not as powerful as you want people to believe.
Fine. You have your little victory today. But remember this. You still have to wake up tomorrow. You still have to carry your struggles, your doubts. And I will still be here, waiting, watching, whispering.
And I will still be his. And every time you whisper, I'll remind myself, you wouldn't be talking if you weren't afraid of what happens when I listen to him instead.
That, right there, that's the only reason I'm still here.
You could, but you won't.
And why's that?
Because this isn't about me. It never was. This whole time, you weren't trying to convince me. You were trying to convince yourself that you still have power, that you still matter, that you haven't already lost.
You really do love playing the hero, don't you?
You think this is about me being the hero. I'm not the hero of this story. I never was, but I know the one who is.
You keep saying his name like it's a shield, like it's some kind of magic spell.
No, I say his name because I belong to him, and I know something you don't want people to realise. You are powerless over anyone who chooses him. You can whisper, you can tempt, you can push, but you cannot take, because what belongs to God stays with God.
You talk like you're untouchable, but let me remind you, you are still human. You are still weak. You will have bad days. You will get tired. You will struggle. And when you do, I'll be there.
You won't, because I already know you'll try. I already know the thoughts you'll whisper, the doubts you'll plant, the fears you'll stir. I know your playbook, and that means I already know how to win.
Oh, and how do you win against something that never stops?
By remembering that I don't fight alone, that I never have and I never will. By knowing that every time you whisper, God's voice is louder. And when I call on him, you have to flee.
You're more trouble than you're worth, you know that?
I know, and I know exactly why.
Shh. I hate this part.
That's it. That's the truth. He doesn't stay where God is invited. He doesn't stand where faith holds strong. He doesn't win when we remember who we belong to. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. The enemy is real, his tricks are real, but so is our victory, so is our hope, so is our God. And that's why we don't have to be afraid. If this video spoke to you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Let's spread truth, build faith, and keep the light shining. Until next time, stay strong, stay faithful, and keep crafting.